Let's get into what is coming next on your manufacturing journey. You've already started gathering your materials and looking at where you're going to get what, how you're going to source it, and making sure that you're able to get it to your manufacturer. Now we're getting down to the wire. We're almost here for production, right? What is coming next? Before I get into it, if you are building a brand, launching a product, and figure out manufacturing for the first time, this channel is for you. I'm Giovanna, the founder of Tonē Bekka, and I'm here documenting my manufacturing journey and what it looks like. The wins, the setbacks, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. So hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. And if this series has been helpful to you, go ahead and tap that like button. All the likes helps this channel to grow. Let's get into it. Okay, so in the last video, we talked about MOQs, materials, swatches. We talked about colorways. We talked about figuring out all of the things for your production as far as the look of it, the hardware, the materials, what they're going to look like, where you're going to get them from. We covered all that in the last video. Now, let's talk about what's coming next. Now, if you haven't already talked to your manufacturer, if they haven't already started on your molds getting created, then now is the time. You have your materials and you're doing all the things. Now it's making sure that the molds are going to be created. Now, most manufacturers won't start on this until they have the money in hand. So that means that after you pay your deposit to go into production, then it's like, okay, they're going to order your molds, which can take about 1 to 2 weeks for those to come in. And then once that you have all of the materials shipped and they have everything that they need to get the production started, they give you a timeline and you go into production. Now, in order to get to this process and to pay your invoice, most manufacturers will require either anywhere from 30 to 50% upfront of the invoice cost. And then once they have that, then they say, okay, we'll lock it in. At the end, whatever that remainder is, whether it's 70, 60, or 50, that's what you pay before they ship out a single product to you. Okay, now if you're sitting here like, what the heck is a mold? Basically, the molds are any shaped components or structural forms used to cut out the pieces to put them together to create your product. Now, these molds are always priced separate. And as I've told you in previous videos, these are usually things that you can take with you if you decide to go to another manufacturer, but you always want to make sure that you communicate that with them and make sure that it's the understanding that if you do go somewhere else, those molds will go with you, because not everybody agrees to send them with you. Now, your deposit is what puts you into the production queue. Without your deposit and your materials, you are not being put into production queue. That means that if you're like, oh, I paid my deposit, but I don't have my materials, and they get another order and somebody else is ready to go, they will move forward, and that can put you behind 6, 8, 10, 12, 3 months, okay? Well, 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks, 3 months. So you want to make sure that you have everything in hand ready to go in order to get into the production queue. And once you do, send them the deposit and give them all the materials, every single thing that they need for all the pieces to be made. They will let you know where they are and how long it's going to take. Now, if you have done any pre-orders and have anybody waiting and expecting to receive your products, if they tell you it's going to take 12 weeks for the bags or the product to be made, do not tell your people 12 weeks. Tell them 15, 16, 18, 20 weeks. You always want to tell them more than what it is, because things happen, things get delayed, and you don't want people expecting and waiting and it not be there. We've heard too many bad stories about this, and everybody's not forgiving, unfortunately. Now, as I said, most manufacturers work on a split payment structure, half up front and the rest later, once they complete your order. When your order is complete, before they ship anything out, you have to pay the remainder, and that includes shipping. Now, if you are not dealing domestically and you are dealing internationally, please be prepared for the shipping costs. You have to pay that shipping. duties, all of it, tariffs, everything. You got to be prepared to pay that so that you can get your product, because they will not eat that cost. You pay every penny, they don't cover nothing. And so until you've paid for every single thing, they will not release your product. Now, I've talked about in previous videos how different ways that you can, fund your production and have the money for production. And for those who do not know, what I did to start my production was I wanted to start with pre-ordering. Now, hindsight is 2020. It is. And if I look back on it, I would have done things totally different. I talk about that in a later video too. But I would have done things a lot differently. For one, I would have made sure that I marketed and promoted a lot more and had a certain amount of pre-orders in place before I said that I was going into manufacturing. And I would have communicated it more to my community and my audience to say, I need X amount of pre-orders before going into production. Another thing that I would have done differently was I wouldn't have stopped making bags and producing collections myself until probably manufacturing was shipped to my door. I would have kept going, because that would help fund a lot of things and wouldn't have delayed the process of getting done and through production, because I would have had more money constantly flowing in. So you want to have a plan before you even start. You want to have a plan before you bring other people in on how you're going to fund it, how you're going to get all the money, and just have a plan. Because if you don't, then you can prolong things and make things wait, and people can get antsy, and we all know how that goes. Now, this is not something that I'm familiar with because my manufacturer is in the States. But for those who may be dealing with international manufacturers, there are so many other fees and things that you have to think about and consider. And they are, first of all, if you're working with an overseas manufacturer, which a lot of people are, you need to know how international payments work, okay? Wire transfers are the most common way that people pay for their manufacturing. But you got to realize that there are fees on both ends of this. And there are currency exchange rates that you need to account for. And then realizing that a transfer isn't just instant. It can take several days for the transfer to go through and hit their account. And that's business days. So one thing you need to do is keep record of every single transaction. Confirmation numbers, receipts, emails acknowledging that they received things. If anything goes wrong, your paper trail is what is going to protect you. You want to confirm the wire transfers before you send them by phone or video. Always confirm wire directly with your manufacturer before sending it by phone or video. Double check the account numbers. You don't want to send this much money and it goes to the wrong place, because they probably ain't going to give it to you. And wire fraud targeting small businesses is real. So double check, triple check, quadruple check everything. Keep exchange rate timing in mind as well. The amount you send may differ slightly from what they receive. So you have to be mindful of all of these things. Child, this is why I said keep it domestic. I want to keep it as simple as possible. If I can go to the manufacturer and go visit them, I want to be able to do that. I don't need to be worried about exchange rates and tariffs and overseas and shipping and air and sea. I ain't trying to be worried about that. But it does cost a lot more money. It costs a lot more money to have more of what I would call that peace of mind. Now your deposit is in, and now it's time to get your timeline in writing. A lot of times you get vague answers, but you want to be able to say, okay, when is the deadline? You're going to start here. It's going to take you this long. And when are you going to be finished? I need dates. There's a difference between them saying, oh, it's going to be about 6 or 8 weeks, and they giving you a start date, a completion date, and a ship date. Okay? Always ask for specific dates. You don't want a vague answer. Oh, about this. No, I need dates. I need to know. Because you think about it, you got marketing you have to worry about. You got your campaign that you got to push. You got to make sure that you have the materials for shipping it out to the customers, because depending on how long it's going to take, when those products come in, you want to be able to package them up and ship them out to your customers if you're doing pre-orders. And if you're not doing pre-orders, you want to have your timeline tight on, okay, when the products come in, you got to get pictures taken. You have to, be able to put them on the website. You got to have your descriptions done. You got to be able to give yourself time to look through every single piece and do your quality control. You have to be able to do all of these things. So you got to account on your side for what it's going to look like to prepare for them once they come in, to get them ready to go. Are you going to have all your packaging, your dust bags, your boxes, your branded boxes? How long in the time frame for those things that you have to then prepare for? Because once you pay for manufacturing and you do all of that and you're waiting, you got to prepare for other things. So are you having branded boxes? How long is the timeline for your branded boxes to be complete and be shipped to you? All of these things you have to figure out, and you want to make sure that you're not being held up in this area because you're waiting on this to be complete. You want to make sure you can try to get all of your ducks in a row at one time so there are no delays. Now, you also want to figure out what your communication cadence is going to be. How often you're going to check in, how often they're going to give you updates. Are they going to send you pictures and videos? Did you guys work all of this out? Did you communicate it? Is it in a contract? How often you'll check in during production and what you will ask for. Some manufacturers will send photos during key milestones, and ask for these things, because even seeing your leather laid out, seeing them cutting it, seeing your materials laid out, all of these things give you peace of mind. Especially if you go from, like me, being a maker to then, having to give it's like a parent taking care of your baby, and then now your baby has to go to daycare, and you're like, but they're used to being with me, they've only been with me, and now I gotta give them to somebody else, and I don't know, did they change their diaper, did they feed them, did they play with them, did they cry, did they miss me when I walked out the door? You have all of these questions, and you don't know any of those answers unless there's a camera at the daycare, or unless they give you a play-by-play, or they allow you to call and check in, or whatever. You don't really know. So what are your checkpoints? How often are you going to be able to connect with them and communicate with them and check in? When are they going to send you updates and progress photos and different things like this? Are you going to get videos and being able to see them working and it going through the production line, them sewing the bags? All of these things are exciting. And this is another reason why I wanted to be on the domestic side and have the manufacturer here, because I want to be able to go there and see during the production, be able to visit and see it in real time being done by other people's hands. This is so exciting. As you can tell, I can't contain myself. But this is the exciting part. So you want to have the communication cadence, like how often you're going to talk, when you're going to get updates, and what that looks like. You want to set up a regular check-in, even if it's a brief message every 1 to 2 weeks. And this isn't to micromanage, but it's just to stay in the loop and catch any problems before they get out of control and can get expensive. Remember, whatever timeline they give you, especially if you've done pre-orders, if they tell you it's going to take 10 weeks, tell your customers 14. It's better to have it early and ship it sooner and surprise them than for it to be later than they're expecting it. I hope this video was helpful. We will come back and talk more about this entire process. Of course, if you have any questions or you want to know something that I haven't talked about, if you're starting the journey, you're like, well, can you help me figure out this? Be sure to first subscribe and put your comments below. I will check the comments and I will respond. So put them below. And if you know somebody that's thinking about going into designing, that's thinking about manufacturing, that, they're a creator and they're being overwhelmed and tired, and you're like, sis, bro, there is another way. Send them this video, because, hey, we learn by doing, but we also learn from other people's mistakes. So I am here to help y'all. All right, I'll talk to you next week.